Yo guys, what is going on? So coming at you today with just like a recap of how Bandai Card Fest went. This past weekend in Dallas, we had Digimon Season 1 Nationals take place, and funny enough, I managed to get second place, just how I did last year. For maybe some of you don't know, same place, so the exact same deck is kind of funny. So I thought I'd just do like a little recap, and for anyone who is interested in my deck choice plus like matchup spread and stuff like that. And I'll say this like right now, this is not going to be a deck profile. If you want like an in-depth analysis of my deck profile, I will unironically send you to my video from earlier this year. I say last year, but last Nats, I think it was in January, because the deck is not changed. I think my current list is 2 cards different. With that out of the way, I was playing Leviamon. That was my choice for the deck this weekend. And yeah, let's just talk about how the event went. I did also I wanted to show you guys that was pretty cool. My second place prize card is the Kazuchimon. It looks pretty nice and shiny. I don't know how well you guys can see the texturing and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I did kind of like the Kazuchi's cool, but I liked how last year it was like an evolution line where it was like Vmon, Vidramon, Ulforce, and then eventually Ulforce X for like the Worlds card, whereas these are just like all Kazuchimon but different colors. But I don't know, it's still cool regardless. But my favorite thing I got was also the Kyoko Alphamon mat, which looks pretty dope. I think I'm gonna keep this one, despite like some of the mats maybe being a little bit expensive. This is so sick, dude. I love Alphamon, I love Cybersliss, so that is definitely going to be a maybe I might frame that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What should I do with it? But anyways, I got my matchups here. So for let's start, I guess, with why did I pick this deck. For those of you who don't know, I've been pretty much exclusively a purple player for like the last year or so. I started playing Levy and BT15, and then I went on to play like Purple Hybrid, Lilithmon for a little bit, although that deck wasn't like super competitive. And I just like the toolboxy feel of that. And going into this Nats, also played like a decent amount of like the Growl Loop deck, Megidra, etc. And going into this Nats, I kind of felt like the meta was super wide, right? We got a ban list not too long ago that hit like the Growl Loop stuff, Sakuyamon, Royal Knights. So I felt like there wasn't a clear winner as far as meta decks went. And even those decks I still think are pretty strong in their own right, as we'll get to in a second with my matches. Gil Engine's still super good. I don't know why Rush Gilmon is just not banned. Like, please, Bandai, just ban that card, put it to 0, put Growl X to 1. I digress. Arcade is still pretty solid. Sakuyamon, as we'll see, did actually have some results as well. So I feel like the meta was just super wide, and then to introduce BT22, you had CS Omni as like a really prominent deck. You got Galaxy that just got support. So there's the field is super wide as far as viable decks. I didn't think there was a clear victor, a clear definitively best deck in the meta. And for wide formats like that, when it's pretty difficult to determine what you could play against instead of like counter picking and I think it's important to consider like what matchups you might play into. For sure, like you don't want to get caught with your guard down, but I think the number one thing I would recommend to anyone who wants to enter a competitive event, or even just locals and do well and stuff, is you should play the deck you are the most comfortable with. If you put in the time and effort and you've grinded a deck and you've played into a lot of different matchups, you've adjusted your play style depending on your bad matchups or your good matchup, you know how to mulligan with the deck, I think that is by far the most valuable thing. As you saw, not even just me, but there were a lot of people who did well this past weekend with decks that they were just comfortable with. The first place winner, Lance, was playing Gallantmon. He'd been grinding that deck basically since EX8 came out, maybe even further beyond that, because as far as I know, Gallantmon's like one of his favorite Digimon. And so like he had done well, he'd won a regional, he grinded some more, and then he won that. So like that sort of thing pays off much more than picking a deck that you think will just be good, but you don't necessarily have the reps in. So because of that, I felt like the deck I was just the most comfortable with was Levia, and the Cerberus engine, kind of like purple good stuff, I should say. And so that's why I decided to play that, and looks like it worked out. So anyways, so day one in Swiss, there were 8 rounds. I believe we had 200 and like two. It was like just over 200. It was fairly small for a Nats. I believe last year was closer to like 270, if I'm not mistaken. So like a mid-sized regional. Although like because this was invite only, you got to keep in mind the quality of the players here was pretty good. So you've got 8 rounds of Swiss is how it ended up. And so round one, we played in Leviamon. I won that matchup. Not like a ton to say. Leviamon, as if you watch the stream match and you kind of saw how I got destroyed, it can go a couple different ways. If they just draw hot, there's really nothing you can do to like stop their combos, to stop their OTK. They tear apart your board like so easily. It's pretty difficult to like stop them from comboing. So your hope is really to control the board as much as possible. If you've got recovery plays, like for example like a scramble, or if you're a deck that can kind of hide in the back and wait for the moment where they push up, but if they can't kill you, then you kind of get them on the clapback. And if you can lock them out with, I don't know, maybe like a ruin if you're playing that sort of deck, or if you can just put the pressure on to, you know, kill them next turn. I found that's how the matchup goes, but it's pretty close, especially for my deck. It's close either way. So yeah, round one was Gallant. Round two was Royal Knights, which I don't know that I would say was a bad choice per se for Nationals. I think the deck was still pretty good. Like the deck really just lost Purge, and on a baseline, like its ceiling didn't really get any lowered. You still got access to your 4 copies of OmniX. You still got your Omni for game. You've got your Omegamon OmniX, what I like to call the Mirror Force play. And all this other stuff. Last Guardian still crazy, whatever. But losing the Purge was actually like a lot more impactful than I initially thought. Because when I'm playing my opponent, like they didn't really have a good way to clear my board if they didn't have the appropriate card for that the situation called for in hand. And so because of that, it was a little bit more awkward for them to kind of contest the board. And I was able to just kind of clear the board. Obviously, my deck has access to Scythemon, so that was like no big deal. And so I was able to take that one. Round three was Gallant again. There was a lot of Gallant, as we'll see in the matchup spread. So round three was Gallant. This was my first loss, first and only loss in Swiss. And yeah, I mean, okay. So I will preface this by saying, game one, I definitely deserve to lose. I punted game one. So he had swung like a Growl X stack and it lived in 6,000. And I had a level 5, I think it was Drago in the back. And I moved up and he had the I didn't have a Levia, but he had like the float live. So my idea was swing over, he dies, he plays a rookie, and then I go Anubis to kill the rookie and play something. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, what if he War Growl aces me here? And I was like, nah, they don't play that card. Like, I've never seen pure Gallant play that card. I've only seen like Royal Knights or like the Genku deck just to outflank gates and stuff. I was like, nah, he doesn't have it. This is also like turn 2, by the way. He had it, and then I lost the game on the spot because I didn't have any follow up. So that was definitely my fault, but I thought it was pretty funny in retrospect. So I'm never doing that again. And so lost game 1, and then game 2, yeah, he just drew combo and like hit me with the like a swing 2, unsuspend burn, swing 2, OmniX, like turn 3, and I shook his hand. GG's, bro, you got it. Let's go next. And so yeah, that was my second experience with Gallant. Round 4 was against Genku. Dude, okay, I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but I don't want to spend too much time complaining about Genku. But Jesus Christ, that deck is so annoying. Like, I don't know why they made, like, Bandai does this with certain cards that they just design like really poorly. Why does Genku protect your whole field from opponent's effects? Why does it give like their Gatsu and their Shaman and their Medieval immunity? That's just so gross. Like, yeah, he passes me like 6 or 8 maybe if he doesn't have the Bowhuck. But his board's just immune, and then like if I swing, he just GXs and I can't kill the GX, and then it kills me next turn. Fortunately, my deck does have some ways to kind of play around it. Number 1, I have access to option cards, so being able to clear like the Genku or the Just GX I can't, because my deck actually can't kill level 7s without monster effects, but all level 6s and stuff I can kill with options. Another thing is that he does have the floodgates to stop me. But if I play my cards right and like before he Genkus try to like go up Evo Levia, clear his board, his only real response is like slam a Medieval for a bunch or slam a Genku for a bunch. And either way, like even if he does slam the Genku, he's giving me immunity. I have some ways to dig. I can set up retail blockers to like kind of wall him out next turn. So it's not like I'm completely without plays to go for. My strategy in that matchup was also to kind of use 7th Lightning as much as possible. So I would like hard play it to kill his board, and then I would go Evo Levia X to kill his board again if he had another Genku to chain, and kind of just out-resourcing him. So if you're playing a deck that has access to options, I think you're in a much better spot versus that deck. And then also the deck isn't like super memory efficient. So if you can capitalize, sometimes like I found just waiting is sometimes fine, because if you don't give them enough memory to go into a GX without passing turn, they can't really kill you depending on their board state. Like a lot of times. So sometimes just passing and then like putting them on better habit like for the next Genku is kind of just the best strategy. So I was able to get that one. And round 5 was another arcade. There's nothing to really write home about that. That went pretty much about the same as the first one. Round 6 was when it started to get pretty hard. Round 6 was against George. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, but he's a really, really prominent purple player. He had won, I think it was last year's Gen Con with Belfi and BT13, or was that 2 years ago? I don't know. Whenever BT13 was, I'm old. Whenever that was, he's a really good purple hybrid player. He actually played in the LCQ the day before. For those of you who don't know, there's an LCQ Last Chance qualifier, which was effectively just a regional. It was a 400-person regional where I believe top 32 made it into, like if you qualify top 32, you made it into the actual event. Shout out to my buddy Llama for winning the whole thing. But George was in the finals, so he lost to Galaxy in the finals. So he's a really good purple hybrid player. Fortunately, in part due to last Nats, I've had plenty of experience playing against purple hybrid. So we were kind of just trading board, trying to lock each other out. And I was able to take that one, but he's a really good player. He made it really tough on me, so shout out to him. Round 7 was another Gallant, so this is the 3rd Gallant I've played so far. This was against my buddy Nick. Nick actually made top 8 last year. We duked it out. Then at the time he was playing Mirage, and so we got the chance to play again, which is always a great thing, but at this point we're both X1, and so we're fighting to basically get into top cuts the next day, because pretty much at X2 you're almost guaranteed to not make it. I think there were like 1 or 2 that might have bubbled in, but X2 is like pretty much you're out. Okay, for an 8-round event, you gotta go X1 to guarantee top 16. So Nick, also a really, really good player. This guy like refuses to play a traditional deck list, which is good. Like good for him. It like keeps you on your guard. So he's playing Gallant, and I believe game 1 I was able to get him, and then game 2 I made a big Anubis board, and then he played a Crimson Blaze, which I did not see coming at all. And then he cleared my board. He went like Crimson Blaze, clear all the little guys, and then like a Gallant play to kill the Anubis. But I had a scramble, and I was like, oh, I'm chilling. Like I go scramble, like Gobbly, Protoform into Dover X, all that good stuff. And I popped my scramble, and then he said, hey, joke's on you. You can't scramble under Crimson Blaze. And I said, yeah, bro, you got it. So game 2, he got it, and then game 3, he was stuck on not having a level 6 for a bit. And I was able to kind of read that from him, from the way he was like playing his stack and not promoting and stuff. So I was able to get a little bit greedy, set up the OTK, and then because he didn't have the 6 to punish it, I was able to just go for game. So that was a really close round 7. Shout out to Nick. And then round 8 was against Sakuya, of all things. And so Sakuya, the Sakuya player, was going to be Ethan, who some of you might know as Super Duper Roach. AKA 3rd place Nats from last year. So a really, really good player. Fantastic player, one of the best I've ever played. Really nice guy too, so shout out to Ethan. He's playing Sakuya, which by the way, I still think is a really scary deck. I think it's a really good deck still. I don't think those hits like did anything to the deck. Like I'll be honest, bro. Like all it did was take out the Valder arm, OTK line, but he's just playing red plugin, which is the same amount of damage, and it's pretty much guaranteed if you got the barrier underneath the Sakuya X. Except it's technically more consistent because you can search red plugin. So honestly, it's like low-key just better. But anyways, so that is a really grindy matchup. We're kind of just trading stacks, removing his stuff. If he scrambles, I've got stuff for when he plays by card effect. He's got ruin mode. I've got ruin mode. And we're just trading stacks, trying to set up an OTK line for both of us. So game 1, he got me. Game 2, I had an OTK line, but I hit pause plug into ruin mode insecurity and lost it, and then he was able to clear my board. But then that might have been game 3 actually. Regardless, we were 1-1 and then we tied game 3 is my point. And so that was a really good grindy matchup, and so I ended my day at 8th place, I believe, which was good. It confirmed me for day 2. So then day 2 comes around, and as opposed to last year where it was top 32, this time Top Cut was just top 16, like I mentioned before. So we have 4 rounds to get to, ideally to win the event. And so round 1 was against Purple Hybrid, and shout out to my opponent Gus. He was a really, really cool guy. He's a fan, so that was really heartfelt, and we were just having a good time playing, like trading back and forth. Again, like I practiced the matchup, but he played Levia too, so like he knows what's going on. Like we both are aware of each other's cards, and so we're just trying to, like, he's got promo Gounced out on my board. We both got Gazimons, and eventually I'm able to out-resource and out-resource him, get rid of his tamers. He's left without anything, and I'm able to just close it out. Both games, and yeah, so that was a really, really hard fought one. And then game 2, or round 2 I should say. And so at this point, I think that the results should be on Eggman by now, but in Top Cut there are 6 Gallantmon / Gildex. There are 2 Omnis, 2 Galaxy, and then a bunch of other one-ofs, one of them being Purple Hybrid, me, Blue-Green Imperial, who we play next round, a Genku, who had lost against the Blue-Green Imperial, Sakuya, which is Ethan, and then I think I'm missing something. DM Machine, as of course we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so we beat Purple Hybrid, and then round 2 was against Blue-Green Imperial, and this is a pretty favored matchup for me. Again, this is a deck, like a matchup I played a lot, like since BT16 pretty much. So I have plenty of experience with it, especially into like friends like Dan Vang, right? He's a multi-time regional winner. Guy loves Imperial. I played into him a lot, and so I felt like if I had the practice, he goes first, or rather I make him go first because I'm top seed. For those of you who don't know, Top Cut is seeded to where like first place 16, second place 15, etc., and then like those guys would be on opposite side of the brackets. I think I don't know. It works on a weird way to where like my bracket was against like the first place Genku player who had lost was like in my bracket. So then the Blue-Green Imperial who beat him, I played, and anyways. So we play. He kills me turn 3 game 1. He went like Leviamon DNA into the old Pyledramon. So no partition, no jamming, and just swung for every check and then lived, and then I couldn't out it the next turn, and then he killed me. And I was just like kind of shook. I was like, damn, I've not had an Imperial kill me that fast probably since like BT8. So it's pretty crazy. And then game 2, we were able to control his board a little bit better. The ruin mode definitely helped, and we were able to close up the game. And then game 3, I put him in a position where his only out was medieval, but he only played 1 medieval, which that was the other thing about Top Cut, which I absolutely love, and I wish more Digimon events like regionals and stuff had Top Cut, because the way it works at nationals is that it is open deck list, so you know your opponent's deck ahead of time. Granted, like because of the way the bracket works, the night before I didn't necessarily know who I would play against, except I was guaranteed to play Purple Hybrid round 1, and then depending on who wins like the other bracket, right, then I could either be playing into Imperial or Genku. So you see I'm saying, like I kind of have to prepare for both. But because of that, like you can look at your opponent's deck list, and I love this because Digimon is such like a lot of times you get like crazy sacked out of security because your opponent's playing like some random bullshit like plasma stake. Like there's a guy playing Galaxy in top 16 who was playing fucking plasma stake in his deck for like I asked him, he explained it to me, it made sense. He's like, oh, it hits Omni, it hits Genku, and a bunch of other stuff, whatever. But like, it's stuff like that where like you never know like what your opponent could be playing in security, like on some random bullshit that just cooks you because they decided to get spicy with it. So now that I'm aware of your deck list, it really affects your decision making on how greedy can you get, or like what you want to do, how you want to promote. If I clear his board, like what response does he have? If I swing this number into security, am I going to live? That sort of thing. So I knew at this point he had nothing except medieval. Of course, he drew the medieval, and it just took me a little bit of time to rebuild my stack and get through it. So that was a really hard fought top 8 match. And then into top 4, I played my good friend Koi, who is playing DM Machine. I know that sounds insane. No one I knew before this point had ever put this deck together. Okay, that's not true. I knew someone who had put the deck together and played at a regional. Shout out to Alex. However, I'd never seen the deck in action. I've never played into the deck. I've never even read any of the cards except Machine Dramon. I know Machine Dramon does, and I know Vademon's broken. That's about all I knew going into this matchup. And so like I'm sitting there, like we had like 5 minutes before like I knew I was playing Koi, and then by the time my Imperial game was over, to where I was just like on the TCG Plus app, just like, all right, let me read this card. Okay, Angemon does this, Madoki does this, or Betamon does this, and then Vademon does this, whatever. And just trying to familiarize so I'm not caught completely off guard. But he sauced me game 1. If any of you are interested in seeing how this deck works, I'd recommend go seeing the Day 1 Bandai Cardfest stream. He was on stream cooking Imperial. So he sauced me in game 1, got like a huge machine stack that I can't remove. Game 2 was really, really back and forth. He was able to set up a machine stack. I was able to set up like a Levia stack. And then he got machine with like 4 or 5. It has like, the thing about this deck is it can get so many of those face down sources. Underneath in the machine protection is not once per turn, so he can protect like 5 times. So there was a point in game 2 where I went like Drago make him play something, Evo Levia X, double lightning it. So I pop it 2 times off lightning, and then I go training into regular Levia, pop it twice off the Levia, so that's 4. And then I swing into it, that's 5. And then I Evo another Levia to pop it 2 more times. So I had to get through 7 protections in 1 turn to kill this stupid ass machine. But luckily I was able to do it. And I won from there because I kind of just grind him out of resources. And then game 3, he seemed like he bricked a little bit. I was able to, he had double rookie. I want to promote Levia clear your board, put you to 1, Levia rookie. And then next turn, I think he played like analog, and then I went into the OTK line. And again, because I know, like typically I fish for the Leviamon X in my deck because it's a guaranteed 17 6 checks that dies to nothing. But because I knew his deck was not playing anything bigger than 12, I did not need to like think about it or dig for it. And I was able to just immediately go for the OTK. So again, that's another really thing about just the knowledge aspect, is that I can close out the game for certain. Because I know what his deck is playing. So really, really close game. Probably the best game I played, the best set I played all weekend. That was a really, really close match. And then so we made it into finals again somehow. And so finals is against Gallantmon, against Lance, really good player. Unfortunately, I do not want to take anything away from him. He's a great player. He's a great guy. But he just drew like crazy. He went turn 1 Gil into Cool Boy, turn 2 like Cool Boy boost, turn 3 clear my board OTK. And he did it again in game 2. So I feel like as long as I didn't misplay, I'm content. Although it is a little bit frustrating to get second. Again, maybe eventually I'll get to win an event. But so that's how it goes. So that was my run at Bandai Cardfest Nationals, with of course my favorite Croc, my favorite deck that they've ever printed in this game. And so from here on out, we qualified for Worlds somehow again, and that will be in March of next year. I don't know what the format will be like at all. I mean, no one knows. The cards are not out yet. So there will be a lot of experimenting, a lot of fun to be had, and it'll be cool. So I guess yeah, that's my Bandai experience, Bandai Card Fest experience. Really, all I want to talk about. So just shout outs. I want to give to all my friends, in particular, especially Joey. He was a shout out to like the Huang Zero Discord, Huang Zero group. If you guys are not part of the Huang Zero Discord, I genuinely believe like that is where so much cooking goes down. There's tons of cool people, tons of great players. That's where I spent a lot of my time. And so shout out to Joey. He was by far the person who gave me the most practice and the most reps into lots of different decks preparing up for this this event. He's a really good player. And shout out to Oscar, shout out to Llama for winning the LCQ, going 9-0 with Galaxy, the best Galaxy player I know. Unfortunately, he bubbled out of making top 16 in day 2 for the main event, but it would have been a dream to be able to play Top Cut with him. So shout out to him. Shout out to Wong Zero, of course, for, again, same things, testing and being supported. My whole support group. There's tons of other people I just don't have time to mention, so don't get upset if I didn't mention your name. Shout out to all the people I had met at Cardfest as well. Ben and Digipanda and Risu and Ryan and everyone who I played against. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. Again, if you're interested in the deck list, it's on Eggman. I guess I can link that down below. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.